I was very busy at UK. I got there and I joined a sorority. I was on Panhellenic. I got involved with as many things, as I could. The very first day I walked into my classes, my very first class was world history, and I was blown away. I had never met people who were so brilliant and who put things in such context. All of a sudden it went from learning what had happened to learning sort of why and how it all fit together, and I was mesmerized. My major was a topical major, which means that after a couple of years of doing pretty well, I decided that I wanted to make my own major and that I was interested in more things than an individual major had. So I approached a professor within the psychology department, an amazing man, and asked him if he would be sort of my sponsor to create this topical major, and he was. He didn't just allow me to do the major. I showed up in his office and told him that I had this idea. I told him I wasn't particularly interested in the utilization of art therapy as a communication tool with children. I instead, being the whippersnapper that I was, decided that I wanted to do it in a prison setting. And Dr. Robert A. Baker, who's quite an impressive individual, looked me in the eye, asked me 2 questions, and said, yeah, I'd be more than happy to make a few phone calls. I didn't want to just read a psychology book. I wanted to experience it. And so when I say my major, it's almost my experience at Kentucky, my experience with how I was allowed to create my curriculum, and my experience with what I was allowed to do, to be a part of, which was so exciting. It becomes addictive. Once you've had an idea, or you've asked for something, or you've said, let's do something differently. When you're allowed to do that, that gave me the courage to do that same thing over and over again in my career. I don't think to this day, if I hadn't had the courage, or maybe the invitation, if I hadn't had that, I wouldn't have done some of the things that I did, in my career. I've long been a sort of a strategist within the marketing communications world. I've been really a brand specialist for about 10 years. Only about a year ago, I said now is the time to do my own thing again. So I've been doing some of my own consulting and living here and reflecting on what is next. It became the place where we kicked off our shoes. It became the place where we recharged. And this became kind of home, Charleston. I can get up in the morning, I have 67 things running on in my head. I've thought about 2 clients, I know the piece of research I need to do, I'm walking back over a conversation I had the day before, everything is there. I walk out and 2 pelicans fly overhead. And you can't help but to have that pause, that moment. It kind of adds a clarity. It's a fascinating thing. This has been one of the coolest experiences of my life. So I'm a longtime professional at a really interesting point in my career. I've sort of reinvented a couple of times. And to take a step back from a profession that you've been in for 25 plus years and to teach it was possibly one of the most exciting and exhilarating things I've ever done. It's like I knew it, but I know it like here. I know it here. And all of a sudden to take textbooks and to take all these books I've been gathering for decades, right? And to go back through them and say, how would I take 25 plus years of experience and put it into a 14-week course? It's also pointed out some opportunities for me. It's maybe even told me like things that I could do better and how I can get even involved in different ways with my clients and how I can make their businesses even more successful because of things that I've recognized when teaching this course. So this has been interesting, and I hope that everyone who has the benefit of this honor uses this as an opportunity to say, okay, so what? I've done that. What's next?